The date is January 12, 2025. The CIA declassifies an internal cable dated October 2, 1963, codename Winner 28761. That cable shatters 62 years of official lies. The document comes from the final batch of 1,491 JFK-related archives ordered released by Joe Biden. It confirms Lee Harvey Oswald met a senior CIA officer in Mexico City. The meeting took place 52 days, roughly 6 weeks, before John F. Kennedy's assassination. The Warren Commission had sworn under oath no such contact ever occurred. The month is September 1963. The United States is locked in a brutal Cold War standoff with Cuba, still reeling from the 1961 Bay of Pigs fiasco and the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis. Lee Harvey Oswald is 24 years old. He is a former U.S. Marine who renounced his American citizenship for 3 years, living in the Soviet Union from 1959 to 1962 before returning to the United States. The date is September 25, 1963, 2 days before Oswald arrives in Mexico City. CIA headquarters in Langley sends a cable codenamed Winner to its Mexico City station, reference number CIA FOIA RDP 86-00513R000203340012-3, declassified July 1, 2023. It orders the station to, quote, actively monitor any American identifying himself as Lee Harvey Oswald. The date is September 27, 1963. Oswald arrives in Mexico City carrying U.S. passport number 1098-452, documented in the FBI vault and declassified in July 2023. Oswald stays in Mexico City until October 2, 1963. During those 6 days, the CIA films him outside the Cuban Embassy in Mexico City. That surveillance photo was declassified in April 2024. The man running all anti-Castro operations for the CIA's Mexico City station is David Atlee Phillips, known by his operational codename Maurice Bishop. The date is November 29, 1963. President Lyndon B. Johnson creates the Warren Commission, chaired by Earl Warren, Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court. Its sole mission: establish the full truth behind John F. Kennedy's assassination. Kennedy was shot dead in Dallas, Texas, on November 22, 1963. The date is September 24, 1964. The Warren Commission releases its final report. On page 342 of Volume 11, it makes a formal, unqualified claim: Lee Harvey Oswald met no Western intelligence agents during his stay in Mexico City. That same day, CIA Director John McCone issues a supplementary public statement: the Central Intelligence Agency had no direct or indirect contact with Lee Harvey Oswald before November 22, 1963. This official narrative went unchallenged by mainstream U.S. media and federal institutions for 62 consecutive years. First flaw: the Warren Commission makes a binding, on-the-record claim in its September 24, 1964 final report, page 342 of Volume 11, Lee Harvey Oswald never met any Western intelligence agents during his Mexico City stay. But a CIA cable directly contradicts that claim. The cable's codename is Winner 23456, dated October 1, 1963, and declassified March 15, 2024. It explicitly references an informal meeting between Oswald and David Atlee Phillips, head of anti-Castro operations for the CIA's Mexico City station, codenamed Maurice Bishop. Second flaw: CIA Director John McCone issues his sweeping, public statement the exact same day the Warren report is released. He declares the CIA had no direct or indirect contact with Oswald at any point before November 22, 1963. But a September 25, 1963 cable from Langley to the Mexico City station undermines that claim entirely. The cable, declassified July 1, 2023, orders the station to actively monitor Lee Harvey Oswald. The order comes 2 full days before Oswald even arrives in Mexico City, proving the CIA was tracking Oswald's file long before his Mexico City stay. In 1978, Antonio Villena, founder of Alpha 66, a militant anti-Castro group funded exclusively by the CIA, testifies under oath before the U.S. House Select Committee on Assassinations, HSCA. He tells the committee he personally saw Oswald meet Maurice Bishop in Mexico City. But the single most important piece of corroborating evidence had not yet been uncovered. The evidence does not end with 2 conflicting cables. First, cable winner 23456, dated October 1, 1963, declassified March 15, 2024, and held in the CIA FOIA reading room, explicitly references an informal meeting between David Atlee Phillips, head of anti-Castro operations for the CIA's Mexico City station, and an American identifying himself as Lee Harvey Oswald, applicant for a Cuban visa. In December 1978, Antonio Villena, founder of the anti-Castro group Alpha 66, funded exclusively by the CIA from 1962 to 1964, testifies under oath before the U.S. House Select Committee on Assassinations, HSCA. He tells the committee he personally saw Oswald meet a man using the pseudonym Maurice Bishop in Mexico City in September 1963. That testimony is archived at the National Archives and Records Administration, NORA, under number HSCA 180-101 for 2-103 for 7. In 1987, 1 year before his death, David Atlee Phillips confesses to journalist Anthony Summers that Maurice Bishop is his own operational pseudonym. That confirmation appears in the 2024 edition of *The Kennedy Conspiracy Star. On January 12, 2025, the final batch of declassified documents delivers the smoking gun. That document is cable winner 28761, dated October 2, 1963, signed MB, the initials for Maurice Bishop. It rates Oswald as, quote, potential candidate for infiltration operations into Cuba, following our meeting. The evidence also includes a surveillance photograph of Oswald outside the Cuban Embassy in Mexico City, dated September 28, 1963, and declassified April 5, 2024, as part of the JFK records collection. These documents do more than contradict the official story. They reveal a reality kept hidden for 62 full years. First, the meeting between Oswald and Phillips was no accident. The CIA ordered surveillance of Oswald 2 full days before he even arrived in Mexico City. That order proves Oswald's trip was expected. Second, Phillips was no low-level anonymous agent. He ran all anti-Castro operations for the CIA's Mexico City station. His core job, recruit Americans to infiltrate Cuba. Cable winner 28761 confirms Oswald was being evaluated as a potential candidate for those exact missions. He was not a random stranger passing through. Inference: the available evidence suggests the CIA did more than just monitor Oswald. It approached him for an anti-Castro operation. That approach came 6 weeks before John F. Kennedy's assassination. And that is not all. Did the Warren Commission have access to these cables in 1964? No proof exists that it did. But one fact is undisputed: the CIA hid these documents for 62 years. That concealment violated the agency's legal obligations. Here's what no one explained. Aujourd'hui. Today, 62 years after John F. Kennedy's assassination, these declassified documents have blown the official narrative apart. President Biden's Executive Order 2023-2006, signed June 1, 2023, forced the CIA to declassify that final batch of 1,491 documents in January 2025. The agency had fought to keep those records secret for decades. On February 12, 2025, Representative Jim Jordan, chair of the U.S. House Judiciary Committee, requested an official hearing to review these new documents. That request was first reported by Politico on February 12, 2025. No official has ever been held accountable for this deliberate lie. David Atlee Phillips died in 1988. John A. McCone died in 1991. Earl Warren died in 1974. But that upcoming hearing could be the first step toward a new official investigation into John F. Kennedy's assassination. That investigation would launch 62 years after the crime. For 62 years, the Warren Commission's official version of events stood unchallenged. Lee Harvey Oswald was a lone gunman. He had no ties to U.S. intelligence agencies. Today, CIA documents declassified in 2023, 2024, and 2025 prove the exact opposite. The CIA monitored Oswald before he ever arrived in Mexico City. He met a senior CIA officer. He was evaluated as a candidate for anti-Castro covert operations. Why did the CIA hide this truth for 62 full years? And who was Lee Harvey Oswald, really, on November 22, 1963? Subscribe to The Truth They Hide so you don't miss what comes next.